told you guys that I was going to answer this question. I was going to have a reply to it at least, so I apologize for being so slow on it. I was pretty slammed last week and through the weekend with a lot of work to do. So this is the first chance I've had. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background as to the genesis of this question. And so let me bring up a post I saw here. So somebody posted this on Facebook about a week or so ago, and I read it. I've seen it several times. I think it's just gone viral over the internet, but it's actually a pretty sad story. I'll just read it for you. This is a final photograph of Philip Heron, 34, crying in his car literally minutes before he took his own life. And so he was a single dad of 3 young children struggling with escalating debt over $20,000, and was desperately waiting for a payday lending payment he'd applied for, but it's paid in arrears with a 5-week wait time. In other words, you don't get the money up front, you get it behind. So I don't know the exact situation there, but the wait drove him even deeper into debt, and when he died, he had $4.61 in his bank account and clearly couldn't see any other way out. So like a lot of people, especially men, he kept all this to himself. Nobody else knew how bad things were getting. The poor man even had to tell his children that Father Christmas wouldn't come this year. In his suicide note, he wrote that they'd be better off if he wasn't with them anymore, if he wasn't there anymore. And now he isn't. And so whoever posted this said we need to talk more, we need to be kinder, and we need to be a country that helps people when they need it the most. That article just really kind of hit me pretty hard because there's been a suicide in my family. I just had a friend commit suicide literally about 2.5 weeks ago. I had a student that was on the verge of doing that. I had a really good friend that in the past 2 weeks as well apparently put a gun to his throat, pulled the trigger, it didn't go off. He is still alive. We didn't know because he cut things off with a lot of his friends. And so that's kind of what I want to do is I wanted to bring a few things to the forefront. And I realized the question that I posed in this poll, women, when you find the guy you're interested in, what questions do you ask yourself in regards to him? Example, I hope he thinks I'm cute. It may seem like a disjointed question. It doesn't have any relation to this post, but in fact it really is very relevant to this post. And so in the question and the poll I took, I probably should have had something I'd click answers to, but hopefully you'll forgive me. I didn't couch the question as well as I should. It probably wasn't as clear as it should have been. The question relates to a topic that's undergirds a lot of the stuff that happens with men. So I want to play one thing for you really quick. A lot of you have probably seen this. This is another viral video. It's just a really short, quick one that a guy put up. It is so true, it almost hurts to watch it. And that's why it went viral.
You ever ask a man how he's doing and he says, I'm all right. I'm here to tell you, that man is not all right. That man is battling demons that you cannot even possibly imagine. That man is struggling every single day to find a reason to keep going. And the reason we say we're all right is because as a man, nobody really fucking cares what you're going through. So why even bother to say it? But you know what? I feel you, brother. Because I'm alright too.
Okay, so the reason I play that is because that is so true. Again, this is not a hit piece. It's not a dig on men, women, anything like that, even though some things might be taken that way as I go over these things. But what I'm really after is truth.
I am not here to tickle your ears, to entertain you. I will talk to you frankly and honestly. The message I bring is not a happy one, but it is the truth. And time is always on the side of truth. Truth must be repeated again and again, because error is constantly being preached round about.
We're after truth here, and unfortunately in the last 15, 20 years, probably even longer than that, I mean this is a very old video, but there has been a major war that has been launched not only against the family, but in particular against fathers and men, because those people with those designs in hand understand that the father and that men are the anchor of family. Most people don't realize if you have a little girl, a little boy, that most people would think that that little boy learns how to be a man from his father, and that's true. But those people might think that that little girl learns to be a woman from her mother. That is not true. She learns to be a woman from her father. And so I had this discussion with a counselor years ago, and they talked about it. It was very enlightening. The purpose of me even putting up this poll again, which is kind of a lateral move, but it undergirds all this type of stuff, is because, you know, I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about I have 4 sons. If you have sons, daughters, this is something that I think that you should address, or maybe you should address, because this topic that I want to talk about, that first video showed, that this guy's fighting demons, is something that, you know, like women having children, that is not something that a man can experience. That's wholly an experience that she can only relate verbally to us. We really can't experience. And in society, men have literally a mantle of responsibility. It's a huge weight on our shoulders. There's nothing in the Bible, nothing in the Constitution that says that men are responsible for all these things, but that's the way things have been, and that's the way things are. And so that's one of the truths that we're going to have to deal with. And real quick here, I'm just throwing in this video clip. I've had to make this after the fact. I wasn't able to preface this and compile it all in one place, and so I want to play this one clip of the 10 Commandments and Moses talking to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh saying, "Why have you done this to me?" And I look at Pharaoh as almost like being a woman. She's entitled. She thinks she has this, that, the other. Not all women, I'm just saying that those that are, you know, if you fit in that category. And he's saying, like, "Why did you do this to me?" And when he gives his answer,
"Because I saw in you a worth and a greatness above other men."
No son could have more love for you than I.
But why are you forcing me to destroy you? What evil has done this to you?
The evil that men should turn their brothers into beasts of burden, to slave and suffer in dumb anguish, to be stripped of spirit and hope and faith only because they are of another race, another creed. If there is a God, he did not mean this to be so.
he says another creed, or another race and another creed. I would add to that another sex. Just because you're another race or a creed or another sex doesn't consign you to be a slave. And yet, unfortunately, that's how a lot of women that I've personally heard, I mean by the dozens, say that. They believe that men are actually there to serve and make their lives easier, that they're essentially slaves, to do it, to be at their beck and call. I'm going to put just a series of short clips here, and the purpose of these is just to kind of give you a sampling of what's happening out there in the world, just real quick. Very interesting. From Lizo being on Sports Illustrated, and then I have a short clip of their John McEnroe talking about Serena Williams, and these people just wanting him to apologize for being truthful. And people nowadays, the way society is, hey, let's just put the truth aside and put our agenda first. And in my view, that's just completely wrong. And you can see how triggered and how hurt they are. You sure you don't want to apologize for speaking the truth? And he's like, no. And so I may drop a few of these clips in here in this video where I can find a space, because I just don't have time to really preface everything. But I'm just letting you know so you know why they're there, if they just kind of pop in intermittently in places where they may just be off the topic right there, or it's not directly related to something I just said. Okay, so there's your warning.
Can we ask you a really quick question for a little video? Just whatever comes to your mind naturally. What would you say? Can you name some things women just have a knack for more so than men?
Probably compassion and empathy and generosity of heart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people go with that. And what comes to your mind if I say what would you say men are better at than women?
I don't know. a lot. I think both have their pluses and minuses. I think men are better at probably guarding themselves. Yeah.
Not so good with the emotions. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah. Well, they're good at a lot of things, but that's
Nothing that you can think of right now.
no, that's just the one that came up. Yeah.
Muscles.
Muscle stuff.
You know, like strength.
Sure.
That's an easy one. That's a go-to one.
Oh, I think women are good at that too. Yeah.
But like as a tendency, generally speaking, you know, women are more connected to the emotions, but men are usually a little bit more muscly. You know.
I think that's been the stereotype, but I think that's definitely changing. You know.
I think women genetically are catching up to men in strength.
Yeah, I think the emphasis on men having to be so strong and like that sort of stereotype, I think that's going down.
You think that it's an emphasis on men being strong, or men just are naturally just stronger because of their genetics?
Oh, interesting. I think women are just as strong as men. I don't.
Physically?
Yeah, I do.
But they're not though, right? They're not. Like, look at this. I'm a normal dude. Look at my size. I'm just bigger, right? So I'm gonna have more muscle. That's a normal. It's just how it is. It's not.
But not all men.
No, there are of course exceptions, right? Of course, there's men who are like this tall, and you could just slap them and beat them up with one hand. But generally speaking, of course, there's men who are intuitive and very emotional and in their hearts and very good at connecting with their emotions too. But that's more rare than a woman who naturally would be more inclined to be connected to her emotion. You know what I mean? Like we just have differences, and that's what we're just exploring. You know. We just find it really interesting how people are scared to say that we're different. I think it's okay to say that we're different. We all have our things that we're good at. Doesn't mean any sex is superior, but we're just different. We're just not the same. You know.
I think it's just the word strong is a difficult one to apply to this because it's like saying women aren't strong.
We're only talking about physical strength. We're not talking like overall strength or goodness or any of those things. Just physically. That's all it was.
Yeah, I think I get that. But I'm just questioning if there's another word that might, make it easier for people to say yes or no to that, you know?
Hey, Oprah's on there. She's interviewing some clam, And she's giving her this big, ridiculous intro. Like, she's done this, she's done that, she's done this, and she does the most difficult job on the planet. She's the mother, and continues on. Immediately, I just look at my girlfriend like, like, really? Being a mother is the most difficult job on the planet? Oh yeah, all those mothers who die every year from black lung, from inhaling all that coal dust. Dude, women are just constantly patting themselves on the back about how difficult their lives are, and no one corrects them because they want to fuck. So there's just this tornado of like misinformation. I have the most difficult job on the planet. What would you rather be doing? Drilling to the center of the earth, shaking hands with the devil? Every time there's a rumble in the ground, you wait for the whole thing to collapse down on top of you so they can write that folk song about you, Would you rather be up in the sunshine, running around with a couple of toddlers that you can send to bed anytime you want on some sort of trumped up charges? I couldn't believe it. It's the most difficult job on the planet. Oh yeah. I thought roofing in the middle of July is a redhead. I thought that was difficult. But these mothers are bending over at the waist, putting DVDs into DVD players. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it.
Grand Slam singles titles. He spent 170 weeks as the sport's top player. Let's just start with the elephant in the room.
That's right.
Why was it necessary for you to say that anybody, Serena, couldn't beat the 700th player on the men's circuit?
As you know well enough, Charlie, respect Serena very much so, okay? And I was simply calling her on an NPR, which supposedly you're supposed to, this is where you can say it like it is and you're going to get honest feedback. She's the greatest female player that ever lived. Then the lady said to me, I don't remember which one, but she said, why did you say woman? Why don't you just say the greatest, tennis player that ever lived? And so then I felt the need, however, unfortunately, I'm probably to defend myself. I don't know, just say what I really felt. I mean, which is about what I think she would be. I think you're referring to the fact that I said she'd be about 700 in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got a solution, Gail, though, because I know that you're friendly with Serena, and I think at least until yesterday,
the table right now.
I'm just waiting. Would you like to apologize?
No. But the offer is this: is because it seems in tennis, unlike other sports that they're always asking about, why don't you combine, just solve the problem? I'm sure the men would be all for this. The men and women play together. And then we don't have to guess.
But John, you didn't answer Charlie's question. You really should. You really do need to answer Charlie's question.
What was it? I didn't. You're right. I wasn't paying attention.
Necessary to do this.
Yes.
It wasn't necessary. It was not necessary.
You knew it would create.
I didn't know. I didn't know it would create.
You didn't?
No.
John.
Has anybody ever?
I've said this 1,000.
Does Bobby Riggs mean
Charlie,
anything to you?
We're talking about something. I can't even believe we're talking about it. But
John.
nonetheless, if you want to keep talking about it, I'd be more than happy to.
I do. I actually do, because I think everybody knows.
And another thing.
No, men are stronger, men are faster, we all get that, but I think it sort of belittles what women do on the tennis court. I think that's why people are upset. And the fact that you ranked her 700.
And unfortunately, the world wants to teach us that men are not worth much of anything, that women can do this. I've heard countless women say, I don't need a man, it's just total crap. Let me just kind of go through this and kind of see if I can explain to you, what was going on here. So let's go to the poll real quick. And so I said, when you find a guy you're interested in, what questions do you ask yourself in regards to him? Example, I hope he thinks I'm cute. I wish I could have worded it better. I'll let you guys go through and you can read all the comments and that type of stuff, but you can see that the comments generally are just the opposite of that. They're like, is he big enough? Is he strong enough? Is he rich enough? And I've said, no, these are the questions I want you to ask yourself about yourself in regards to that man. So let me give you another example. Generally when men start dating somebody, obviously if you're going on a date with someone, you think they're attractive, they think you're attractive to some degree, but once that progresses 2, 3, 4, 5 dates and there's a possibility of a relationship or something's developing there, the questions that we ask each other are quite different. And so the men that I know and that have grown up around, including myself, the questions that go through our head is she going to be happy with my career? Is she going to be happy with how I look? Obviously, she's on a date with me. She's okay with that type of thing. Is she going to be happy with the home I provide? Is she going to be happy with the income I provide or don't provide or whatever that may be? My hobbies, is she going to be happy with all these type of things? And so as men, how can we accommodate this person? And unfortunately, that does not exist on the other side. And I'm not saying, I'm just generalizing. I'm not looking for the exception. I know there's incredible women out there. Again, this is not a hit piece on women. I just kind of want to bring this to the forefront if it's something maybe you've forgotten. When I looked at this guy who took his life, I don't know the details of the things back there, but I've experienced that feeling, not for the same reasons. There's been one that was similar several years ago, but I know many men, most men will go through that once, twice, maybe many times in their lives, and they're all different circumstances, and nobody will know because the kind of the rule of law is women are, men must become. And what that means, if you don't know what that means, when we turn 18, guys are just thrown to the world. Nobody cares about us. We got to go out there and we got to make our way and do these type of things, whereas women, they just are. People circle their wagons around them, they get coddled, they get taken care of. And so I guess to give you an example, if any guy that you're dating, you're looking at, if you said, what if he had the exact same attributes, the exact same qualities, lifestyle, job, everything that I have, would he be acceptable? And 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is no. It's a double standard. Whether we like it or not, it's a double standard. And I just want to bring awareness to you that even when guys are seemingly looking, they're happy and those type of things, that just means their stress level is down, because a guy loses his job or something like that, the weight of the world hits on your shoulder. We know that we are looked upon as a bum because Women have one luxury in this life that men will never have.
So I'm just gonna come out and say it, all right? This whole equality thing is crap. Look, just hear me out. All I'm saying is that you and I are not equal. Sure, we all slave away at our dead-end, stupid-ass jobs just like each other. But there's a difference. The luxury. The one luxury that we do not have.
And?
It is not okay for us to be dependent on someone else.
What?
Exactly that. Look, you can work your ass off. You can go to college, you can get a degree, you can get a job, just like me. But what I can't do is safe and choose to depend on someone else. Only women have that right. If I do it, I'm a bum or a gigolo. If you do it, you're a housewife.
And it's not that we want to be either. We want to provide. And so, unfortunately, society's got to that point, and they are teaching women that men are trash. You know, you don't need them. And statistically speaking right now, at least in the United States, women consider 80% of men undateable, not marriage material, because society has told them, hey, you need to shoot. You know, you just need to shoot for those top tier careers, attorney, doctor, businessman, etc., etc. But unfortunately, we live in a world where there's electricians, plumbers, all sorts of different things. You know, you have construction workers, and people just have lost, in my opinion, they've lost the appreciation to what men really do. I want to show you something real quick. This is a picture of the Earth at nighttime. Okay, you see all the lights there across the planet, right? But what people don't realize is that men, and I'm not trying to, again, this is not comparing, putting anybody down, because that's been our role. Men go to work and we build things and we invent things because, well, it's part of who we are, one. Two, we want to make money, because without money, we're not going to be able to attract that woman, etc., etc. But if you look at this planet, whatever you're watching this on, your PC, your Mac, your phone, anything, look around you. 99.9% of this world was built by men. The buildings, the roads, the inventions, the phones, the software. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So when people say, I don't need a man, I laugh, because I'm like, really? Let's just take all the men out of this country. Let's get rid of them all and just leave all the women here. You know what would happen? It'd be invaded within 4 weeks and taken over by men from other countries. So you do need us in every way. And I just want people to understand the importance, not just of the high-end earners and the mediocre ones, is that we all play a part, and those people that are working hard should be appreciated. When I saw this piece where this guy had taken his life, it just terrified me for my kids, because even though I have good-looking kids, they're successful, it's just terrifying, because right now there's more women in this world than men. And if they're only seeing 10-20% of these men as viable for marriage partners, there's going to be a lot of people, mostly women, but on the other side men as well, who won't have a family, who won't have the joy of being able to have children, who won't be able to experience all those things. And you know, I look at my kids, and they're the pinnacle of my life. They, you know, the happiness they've brought me, invaluable. And I'm sure that most of you feel that way. One other quick note I wanted to throw in here was, as I've kind of put these clips together that I've mentioned, is the one thing that I've noticed, and this probably is, I think, at the root of the problem, and that is that society has gone down that road of lowering the bar for women and raising the bar for men to an impossible level. So again, we have like Lizo, Sports Illustrated, you have women that are morbidly obese, and we have the media and everybody telling us, hey, you just have to accept these women as they are. They're beautiful in every way, shape, and form. Women don't care what they look like, what they do, if they do anything. They consider themselves a 10.
And fresh face out of the shower, your natural hair, you can't use 7. What would you give yourself?
I can't use 7. I give myself a solid 9.8. Okay.
From LA?
Mm-hmm.
You must mean Los Alamos, not Los Angeles.
Los Alamos? Do you know where I am?
Yeah, not in reality. If you give yourself almost a 10 in LA.
Why?
Because of reality.
Why would you not give me a 10 or at least a 9?
Because you're not that cute. You're not that cute. I mean, you're probably a solid 5'6".
Damn, you just dragged me.
It's not dragging you, man. Okay, if you are an LA 9.5 or better, you would not be here talking about you want a man like that. You'd have them lined up.
I do have them lined up. Like they all have something wrong.
And it's just amazing while they look at guys. And that's why these clips are in here, to kind of show you the mentality that's going out there. And these are just not little, I'm not cherry picking left and right. This is epidemic. And so that's why these clips are here, just to give you a taste. I also wanted to add here, since I've gone through all this type of stuff, I wanted to express my appreciation. I did part of this in a video months ago that I posted, but I just want to reiterate it. I don't even recall what I put on there, but it bears repeating. And that is, like I've said multiple times in this video, this is not me taking a shot at women. This is not what this is about, because it only applies to certain people. I'm just kind of worried how it's affecting society in whole. So let me just say this. I've dated a lot of women in the triple figures over the last 12 years. And I just want to say, it's like there are so many women out there that I really have an admiration for. I've got a good friend that I've known for over a decade. She has 4 kids, never got child support, never got alimony. I believe just had to start a $15 an hour job for some years to provide a shelter, a home, and all the things that her kids needed. And I just have an undying respect for her. Then there's other women quite a few women, they make $10,000, $20,000, maybe $30,000 a year. They're not making a lot of money. They have a home to pay for. They may have kids to support. And then they've just got lots. I don't know whether their kids going to school, whether their kids getting married, all these type of things that we all know come up that bear a lot of cost. And I've seen the stress on in their countenance. Don't really see them complain about anything. And the thing that I think that impresses me most is over the last 12 years, I've had women go to bat for me. I have no idea why. And I think it's just because, in my opinion, they're just good people. They understand how things work. I have a friend that has written the state legislature, or I don't know, the attorney general, and advocating that family laws need to be changed because she's dating a man and she sees how corrupt those laws are and how they are affecting men, which in turn is going to affect her, other women. Okay, I've dated women, again, that only working part-time, renting a place out of their parents' basement, whatever the case may be, but they don't have a lot of money, they don't have a lot of resources. And it's been frustrating to me sometimes to see them go out of their way to do things for me, especially when you're in a relationship and maybe Christmas comes. And I don't want them to so much as expend a cent even getting a candy cane. They're not required to do that, and they know that. Yet they go out of their way because I've had times where I've been given, a dozen little gifts type of things just because they wanted to express their care and their love and those type of things. And to me, that makes them richer and more amazing than anybody could ever be, And then there's, I guess there's on the flip side where I know people have been in love with certain men and they've discarded that relationship only because, some other guy they dated whom they didn't love or just liked, but they weren't in love, but they had money. And I've seen half a dozen of them that the guy didn't necessarily wasn't wealthy, but he came from a wealthy family, and so they pushed everybody else aside. And to me, it's just, I don't know, I have a hard time comprehending that. How did love become so insignificant and the things of this world become so significant? And it's just troubling. Again, this isn't really about me, it's just about my kids and the stuff that's going on, even though it does affect me. So let me just say, women that are on board, they understand this dynamic, thank you. And that's really what I want to say. I think people should value each other equally, love each other, and, well, there it is. Okay, so